But anyways, you know what made me, I was reminded of 9/11 too when you were mentioning that because, dude, remember 9/11? If you were at all questioning the motives of us going to war for terrorist attacks, like you were unpatriotic, you did not love this country, and that's kind of like what the snitches get stitches that Joe Rogan's talking about now. It's like,
Well, we also, I do remember that. Like, I always said, like, usually my right and left leaning politics wise has always been like somewhere in the middle, but the world kind of shifts. So I kind of shift with it. And it was like I felt like very left. And we grew up in a conservative area, Lindsay, California. And, uh, I lived in the Netherlands, very liberal. I lived in San Francisco, and then we both live in Sacramento. Now, I would say left-leaning city, I would assume. I'm not really sure. I haven't been here too long. But anyways, it's like, yeah.
Well, just I'm leaning, and because again, at 9/11, which relates to what Joe Rogan's talking about snitching on your neighbor, it's like people were calling people out, man. If you at all said, "Hey, well, we shouldn't be going to war," or question it at all, it's like, "Oh, you hate America. You're unpatriotic."
Well, that's what I was gonna say. We said like back in the, it just came back to me in September 11 times, like everyone's patriotic, and if you weren't, it was a little scary. But do you think that's just where we grew up? Because it probably wasn't like that in San Francisco, right? Or do you think it was?
Good question. Yeah, I mean, I would imagine not. Because of how liberal they are there, but.
Dude.
If anything, if there was someone for the war there, they were probably the outcast.
Well, yeah, it was crazy because I feel like I was kind of going back to what I was saying before I went brain dead, but I feel like I was a liberal in the Central Valley, and then I lived in San Francisco. I feel like a Republican. And, like, it was weird. It was just like, well, is the world shifting or is it just there? And I realized, like, wow, people really do. We can talk about the news and everything else, but people really do live in different dimensions, almost like two different worlds, and they're in the same state. It's kind of it's bizarre.
Fuck yeah, it is. Oh hell yeah, dude. And California is a big fucking state too.
It's really big, yeah, for sure. But it's always interesting to me with like how the news. Let's go back to COVID. How the news is always everyone's spinning their angles. It's like
totally.
Like I was wondering, like, when are the politics going to get involved? And like the first week was kind of quiet. They were just like kind of confused, and then all of a sudden now it's like he and she should have done this, and it's just like there we go.
Oh yeah, right. You know what? I read an article today with someone using COVID-19 as a political sway, but I fucking forgot what it was. But you know what? Also, I mean, just talking about the social aspect about all this and the people aspect is like. When Trump got elected and it was like the women's march against Trump and, all this not my president kind of stuff going around, I was living in a duplex and my neighbor was like this, middle-aged white woman, short hair. And, she's liberal leaning, right? But she looks like your typical white woman, right? And so there was a thing where, I don't know if you remember this, surely you do, people were just looking at white people like, oh, you're a racist, oh, you must be a Trump supporter, just because they were white,
Yeah, oh yeah.
Dude, and I know you remember that, man. And it was like, they developed this thing, right? Because she came up to me actually one day and was like, hey, people just keep on mugging me, and like I'm some kind of Trump supporter. I hate Trump, but, people don't see that when they look at me, they think like I'm a Trump supporter or something. So anyways, they developed this pin. Do you remember that? Like if you put this safety pin on you, then that means you're like one of them, right? And then you can conversate with people. And that's how they know that you're one of them, right? But
right, okay.
But dude, we should never have to come to that. Seriously.
No, because it's not a black and white world. It's a very gray, there's a spectrum there. And I don't know.
But dude, people will turn on each other, man. I mean, it can get to that point very easily. I mean, shit, you see these old people getting trampled for toilet paper.
Dude, they do that just for, what is it, Black Friday? It's like Black Friday every day right now. That's what it is.
Oh, shit, nice. Good analogy, Jay.
Not even after like Tickle Me Elmos, but after toilet paper. It's ridiculous. What have we succumbed to, my friend? But I don't know. Especially if we start going hungry, it'll get ugly, man.
Right.
Oh, hell yeah. Like, come on. You know what? You know what society is? society is what it's like in prison. That's a little society experiment. When motherfuckers don't give a fuck. And
Right. Well, and then, but I guess the biggest difference is in prison, at least you could, you have the weapon of unpredictability, right? Because in prison, you don't know what's going to happen. Shit can fucking, this guy can do this, that guy can do that. They could all gang up and cause this big old riot. But shit, out here, they know our every move. They know what we're shopping for. They know what we're going to buy. They know how often we buy it, how often we're going to the store, how often we're in our cars. Fuck, they know everything about us.
Well, yeah, I don't know, but the thing about prison, it's like the most control you can have over someone is like you stay in that little room forever, or for 20 years, for whenever I say you get out. And then the inmates, they're obviously not like, okay, let me serve my 10 years and have a good jolly time. They're like, some do, but I'm sure everyone gets a little like, fuck you, and is that what's going to happen eventually? Like back to 9/11, TSA became a thing, and now you have to get to the airport early. Patriot Act was started. So like, will we have to wear masks forever? Will we have to check in if we leave the county or the state? Yeah, is it going to be more controlled? And obviously that doesn't work until you wipe everyone out, right? Like not all the inmates are going to be the 100% perfect inmates. Some are going to be like, fuck you, and I don't know. That's me, so there you go.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting.